Tucked away on the island of Borneo lies one of the smallest countries in the world, and one of the richest. Welcome to Brunei, a tiny Islamic kingdom with a population of less than 500,000, but a sultan worth over $28 billion. It's a place of quiet wealth, golden mosques, luxury cars, and oil-powered fortunes. But behind the gold-plated gates, Brunei operates by a very different rulebook, because while it's rich in resources, it's even richer in rules. Here, the economy flows from oil and gas. Brunei produces more oil per capita than almost any other country on Earth. That means free healthcare, free education, and no income tax for citizens. But in exchange for all that comfort comes strict obedience. Brunei is governed under absolute monarchy. The Sultan, Hassan al-Bolkiah, has ruled since 1967. He is king, prime minister, finance minister, and head of religion, all in one. And in 2014, he introduced one of the world's most controversial legal codes, Sharia law, including punishments like amputations and stoning, even though they're rarely enforced. Alcohol is banned. Public celebrations of other religions are restricted. LGBTQ+ relationships are illegal, and criticism of the monarchy is strictly forbidden. Tourists can visit, but they must follow the rules. Even chewing gum in public or singing loudly in public spaces can lead to fines or worse. But here's the twist. Most Bruneians aren't complaining. Why? Because in return for obedience, they receive one of the highest standards of living in Asia. Public housing is subsidized. University education is often paid for by the state. And during COVID, citizens received full financial support while the rest of the world struggled. It's a trade-off. Liberty for luxury, freedom for financial security. And the Sultan? He lives in the world's largest royal palace, with 1,788 rooms, a private zoo, a car collection worth over $5 billion, and a fleet of private jets. To outsiders, it looks like excess. To insiders, it's tradition. But the world is watching closely. As global pressure builds for more openness and human rights, Brunei stands firm, refusing to bend to Western expectations. Because this isn't just a country, it's a kingdom, frozen in time, shielded by oil wealth, and guided by centuries-old values. Brunei's story forces a difficult question. Can ultra-wealth and strict rule truly coexist peacefully, or is this calm just the silence before a storm? For now, the silence holds. Brunei remains one of the most stable nations in Southeast Asia. No protests, no revolutions, no elections, but underneath the surface, cracks are starting to show. The younger generation, raised on TikTok and global media, is more connected to the outside world than ever before. They see freedom in neighboring Malaysia, opportunity in Singapore, and modern lifestyles far beyond Brunei's borders. Some are starting to ask quiet questions about freedom of speech, about representation, and about what comes next after oil. Because that's the hidden danger. Brunei's wealth has long depended on oil and gas, but as the world shifts toward green energy, demand is slowly shrinking. And while the Sultan has invested in tourism, banking, and halal exports, none of it comes close to replacing oil's revenue. If oil runs dry, can Brunei's social contract survive? Can a nation so dependent on one man and one resource adapt fast enough to a changing world? Or will its people eventually demand more than free housing and healthcare? Already, some Bruneians are emigrating quietly, not in rebellion, but in search of freedom to express, to create, to question. Yet inside the kingdom, loyalty remains high. Many citizens still view the Sultan as a father figure, a protector. They point to the low crime rates, the clean cities, the peaceful streets, no riots, no poverty, no political chaos, just discipline and luxury. To outsiders, Brunei might seem like a paradox, a land of unimaginable wealth, ruled by medieval law, a country untouched by time, while the rest of the world races forward. But to those inside, it's not a contradiction. It's home. And yet, home is beginning to feel smaller. With limited outlets for creativity, young minds often find themselves boxed in. Art, film, journalism, all must tread carefully. There's no room for political satire, no space for protests, no platform for opposing views. For many, silence is survival. But what happens when silence becomes stifling? In Brunei's schools, students are taught to honor the Sultan, to respect tradition, to follow the path laid before them. But beyond the classroom, they scroll through global feeds, watching youth across the world speak out, vote, challenge their leaders, and shape their futures. And quietly, some begin to wonder, what is our role in shaping ours? So far, the state has kept a tight grip. Social media is monitored, websites are filtered, and foreign influence is kept at bay. But digital walls, unlike palace walls, are harder to defend. And while Brunei's wealth still flows, so does time. And the world is changing faster than ever before. The Sultan, now in his late 70s, remains firmly in power. But questions about succession and the future are whispered more often. His son, Crown Prince Al-Muhtadi Billah, is expected to inherit the throne. But will the next generation of leaders tighten the grip or begin to loosen it? No one knows for sure. Because in Brunei, politics isn't debated, it's decreed. And while stability reigns for now, it may come at a cost. A generation that is quiet on the outside, but restless on the inside. Brunei remains one of the richest, safest, most orderly countries in the world. But order, when left unchallenged, can become stagnation. And in a world driven by innovation, expression, and change, can a kingdom built on silence keep up with the noise of the future? Because the real question isn't just about oil or monarchy or even religion, it's about balance. Can Brunei continue to offer prosperity without participation, comfort without conversation, luxury without liberty? It's a delicate equation. And for now, it works. Largely because Brunei's people have been protected from hardship that many of their regional neighbors still face. There's no overwhelming poverty, no political chaos, no collapsing healthcare systems or failing schools. In Brunei, things function. The streets are clean, public services are efficient. Life is, in many ways, easy. And maybe that's enough. For now. But for how long? Brunei's future may depend on whether its leadership can evolve its strict structure without losing control, whether it can give the youth a voice without opening the floodgates, whether it can modernize slowly without triggering unrest quickly. Because if oil revenues shrink and opportunities stagnate, the trade-off that once felt fair, wealth in exchange for silence, may begin to feel like a cage. Already, whispers of reform are emerging in private business circles, academic halls, and diaspora communities. Calls for transparency, for entrepreneurship, for freedom to fail, and the right to speak about it. But in Brunei, change is not shouted. It's whispered, planned, softly introduced, or not at all. And perhaps that's what makes this country so unique. In a world that moves fast, collapses loudly, and rises even louder, Brunei stays still, quiet, golden, controlled. A palace in the jungle, a kingdom of comfort, a silence that shines. But the world is knocking, and sooner or later, someone will answer. Yet answering that knock won't be easy, because behind Brunei's calm surface lies a complex question. What does progress look like in a monarchy that fears disruption? For decades, the Sultan has shielded the country from outside chaos. No coups, no uprisings, no instability. But in doing so, he's also shielded it from certain opportunities. Innovation requires freedom. Freedom requires trust. And trust requires dialogue, something Brunei's system isn't built for. Still, there are signs of a slow awakening. More Bruneians are studying abroad, exposed to systems where ideas are debated, not silenced. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more untold stories from around the world. Stay curious and stay connected.